Well, hello, and how are you? How was your weekend? I hope you had a good weekend. We know that we had some disturbing news, and that would have caused us a lot of sadness and a lot of pain, but we will overcome and we'll cross that hurdle. Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Headlines. And this evening we have a very interesting issue at play. And so we're having a forum of sorts tonight. We're calling it the Market Vendors Forum. And you have heard in the last week, if you've been following the news, reports that vendors are in uproar because they tried to return to the St. George Market but were given marching orders and told they had to leave no later than Saturday. So this evening we have with us Ms. Merina Jessamy. She's a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure. We have vendors Titus Joseph, Landa Ragbasingh, Dale Lewis, Shah Jiggaman Harford, and Livingston Nelson. So we'll be hearing from our vendors and from Mrs. Jessamy to put things in true perspective. If you notice, we've had a little bit of work trying to reflect the subject that we're discussing, so we have a little marketplace and we'll go through some of what we have here, as well as we have other items on the far side, which we will display. But tonight, we're not just looking at the controversy surrounding the closure of the market. Livingston Nelson, as we know, we like to call him the historian of sorts, but he's a cultural icon. And he is going to be looking at the market space, apart from the controversy, what it means for Grenadian culture, how it fits into our history. And one of the very intriguing pieces we have where we're going to start this evening, he produced a really nice piece on the Grenadian marketplace. Let's look at that first, and then we come back and start the discussion with our panelists. So let's go.
Oh, your local mates, Jiggaman in town today. Everything I have is locally made.
It is the rallying cry of a simple market vendor. Pliny's roots, echoing at toes. Everything patriotic passion and nationalistic fervor. He's a proud and independent trader as he chants.
Everything I have is locally made.
His mantra is not just a slogan, it is an accepted philosophy. He never went tertiary, but he has a PhD. No church, no school can trample his freedom and spirit. Although he sells damsel and golden apple while walking the nation's street. And so he keeps on chanting.
Everything I have is locally made.
He's not like the typical Caribbean leader. No, no, no. He's like Booker T. Washington, Julian Fedor, and Marcus Garvey. His economics is not based on begging every Tom, Dick, and Harry. By his sweat, he would eat bread. It is a clear vision for all to see. He works hard so that he can remain free.
Everything I have is locally made. As long as it is local, I have it. Seed and seedless golden apple, damsel, mango, pawpaw, carambola, tamarind.
Imagine we are the Isle of Spice. But as a nation, never planted a spice tree in the last 10 years. Imagine nutmeg price is high, our quality is good, and yet Noelville purchased nutmeg oil from India. Can you imagine Mott from New York came here penniless? Built a multi-million industry in chocolate, yet not one Imani works in the cocoa industry. What a shame! What a shame!
Everything I have is locally made.
He was not going to sell his people's passport to bandits. No! He would defend the patrimony. He was not going to backstab his leader for Alba and his silly casino. No! He would fight economic enslavement. He was not going to privatize the estate. When he can plant soursop, dasheen, and ginger, then go all over the world begging for an investor.
Everything I have is locally made.
A third world nation without knowledge of the history would always be bung for poverty. A people without visionary leaders would be at the mercy of the money grabbers. The salvation for all of us is the awakening of a new consciousness that we must build with the future in mind. It is only a free man and not a slave that uses his own ability to forge boldly and confidently in the future. So who are we? A free nation or an enslaved people? You must tell me.
Everything I have is locally made.
The tongue crier, we call him. Everything I have is locally made. Not sure I could hit that note, but let's go over to our panel. So let's start with our vendors. We have Titus Joseph, Landa Ragbasingh, Dale Lewis, Shah Jiggaman Harford, and Livingston Nelson, who compiled that piece for us. So Titus, we're beginning with you this evening, and what we're trying to understand is, tell us about your interactions at the market. Why is the St. George's Market important to you?
First of all, I want to say good night to everybody on the panel, and good night to everybody listening. So, everybody's hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you. Just let me ask other panelists to mute their microphones until we come to them so that we get rid of some of the background noises. So everybody else, mute your mic, and then as we come to you, open your mics. Thank you. Go ahead, Titus.
So basically, I'm what you call a market child. I spent most of my childhood and the majority of my adult life in the market. So my parents basically did business in the market. So from school, you're in the market. Basically, everything I know, basically as an adult, from my experience is basically from the market. I went to school in the market, went to college in the market, from college in the market, graduated from college, and decided that I've seen my parents survived doing business in the market, and I thought, if they did it, if my mom and dad took care of all of us, my mom and dad had 7 kids and took care of all of us in the market, it's only fair that I give it a chance. And basically, my life, I consider myself a market child. There's lots of market children. Lots of children you would see who parents did trade in the market, and they grew up there. They went on to do lots of things. Golden, for one, who everybody would know as a promoter, she's also a market child. Lots of us are market children. And
so you sell what? You sell what at the market?
Well, my dad was a businessman, so he did different things, but basically we sell food.
Okay.
So we operate, right now I operate at the food court, and basically that's what I do right now.
All right. Let me go to Landa. Landa, so tell us about what you do, what's your trade? Landa, I need to unmute your mic. Okay, so let's go. Right, Landa, you're there?
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Tell us, if I come to the market, what would I find? What do you do at the market?
Well, if you come to the market, you'll find a lot of nice stuff in my shop. You got the latest in sandals, slippers, all locally made. Most thing in my shop is locally made, like hats, bags, all the stuff we make in the shop. So you'll find a lot of nice things to my shop.
All right. And Dale? We're just trying to get familiar so that people know this is who we're talking to. Dale. Okay, Dale is not there yet. So Jiggaman, Shah Harford is the right name. Jiggaman.
Hello.
Trading name.
Yeah.
So
everybody in the market call me Jiggaman.
Mm-hmm.
And I sell clothes. I've been selling clothes in the St. George's Market since 1991.
Okay.
And I enjoy the market. When I first came to Grenada, I realized that it's not what you know, it's who you know. So my parents, they thought I was crazy because they spoke to who they needed to speak to, and I was offered jobs in different entities, but I chose to stay in the market. And it's because I always enjoyed to sell.
Okay.
Selling is in my blood.
All right. So
But go ahead. Yes, but what are we going to discuss tonight pertaining to the St. George's Market Square?
All right, so we'll get to that. I'm just trying to go around the room so that people get a feel for who we're talking tonight. Livingston Nelson. Livingston, you're a cultural icon. We connect you with Grenadian history, but you also have your deep ties to the market. Tell us about that.
You're talking to me?
Livingston, unmute.
Yes, I say good night to everyone, panelists and the listening public. Let me just say that I actually came into the market scene. I used to be selling to the hotels a long time, but I started selling to the market in 2004, just after Ivan. Of course, it's a similar situation to what is happening now, meaning that we were unable to get our goods to the hotels, and so we then turned to the street. And I then realized that the street is a thriving industry, the marketplace is a thriving industry, and I remained stuck in the market since then. So
okay,
that is my short, brief stint with the market.
All right, so let's know that we've had that out of the way. Miss Jessamy, I promise you we'll get to you shortly, but let me just establish. So last week there was a report. First thing we heard that the market was for sale, and we have a report that Christelina John would have filed. We'll go to that in a few minutes. But Miss Jessamy, tell us exactly what is happening, because the stories were first that the market was being sold, and then the vendors were told you need to vacate. Tell us what this is all about, Ms. Jessamy.
A pleasant good evening to all the viewers and to the vendors on the platform as well. And I want to take the opportunity to say thank you to GBN to give us this opportunity to share information. I spoke this morning with a media person, and I would have made it clear that from my capacity as permanent secretary, I did not receive any instruction nor prepare any document with respect to the sale of the market. I heard about it as well, so I cannot say that from the ministry or from the directive of government we have a sale of the market on the table. So I want to clarify that. I want to take this opportunity to clarify something, because last week, Thursday, there was this protest of vendors in the market square. And I want to repeat what I would have said Friday to the vendors and also this morning to the vendors, that I believe that the protest was a result of a miscommunication. Why do I say that? The St. George's Market, we didn't put out a press release as a ministry to officially announce that the St. George's Market was open. Effective the 5th of June 2020, we opened the Grenville Market. And I must say that COVID-19 presents us with places to go that we never tried before, uncharted waters. And so to ensure that we have compliance with COVID-19, in Grenville, we know that the booths are at least 10 feet from each other so that it was easy to comply with social distancing. And so we opened as a pilot to see how it will go. Also in Grenville, you have persons who sell only in the weekend, and we put the protocols and regulations in place. Bear with me to say that the market as it was, with the lockdown was announced for March, so we are aware as a ministry that the market vendors stayed home for April, May, and June. And for every public space where we bring back workers or officers, we must sanitize the place. And I think that that is where the communication went wrong, in that they were advised that as of tomorrow, you cannot come. Now, what happened is that we know that the market was not officially open. There was no press release to open the market. And persons, because of the announcement in the emergency powers to say, well, if I'm selling food, or when they heard that supermarkets open, depending on what they sell, they went to the market and opened. And we
So, Ms.
asked the
Jessamy, can I
police
ask you to
officers
hold a?
patrol the market.
Can I ask you,
And
Ms.
so
Jessamy, to hold a pin here?
what-
So we'll develop the points as we go along, if you don't mind. I just want to, because your point is balancing to some of the comments that we heard. So let me ask the vendors. Let me start with Titus. Titus, how did you get back into the market? Because it seems as though there's some disconnect. What was the premise upon which you returned to the market? Titus? Titus, you need to unmute your mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, when most people in the market followed the COVID protocols, the only source of information is basically what we hear on the news. So the government went out and sent a release saying that food vendors and people who sell clothes and merchandise and these things can open. So basically, most people in the market took it upon themselves to use that as a green light to open. I, for one, didn't really open my place because I thought that certain things needed to happen first before we open. So I really didn't open, but most people, obviously, who have bread and butter issues, who've been home for so long, took it on themselves and they went ahead and opened. So basically, that's what happened as it relates to myself and other people trying to make trying to open them, trying to go back to normalcy. But that's what most people want to do. They want to get their lives back to normal. They want to get things running again. And we didn't get no information from nowhere else. We basically what the COVID guidelines. When the COVID guidelines gave us the instructions to close, we closed. And when it gave us the guidelines to open, we opened because there is no other way, no other information is coming from nowhere else. We're not hearing information from nowhere else.
All right. Let me ask Landa. Landa, so you said you sell a lot of local stuff, hats, belts, and that kind of thing. So how did you decide it was time to go back into the market?
Well, I feel just time to go back to the market.
Go ahead. We're hearing you. Go ahead.
I feel it's just time to go back to the market because I find like all the stores open. A lot of people calling me on the phone, they need sleepers, they need hats. Why we don't open as well? They don't get it right away to open it. But then when I see we go in, I just end up going and open the shop because my shop, I have my own door. So I don't have to depend on the market to open the shop, to go to the shop.
Okay.
So I went and opened my shop here.
Right. So let's go now to Mr. Harford. Mr. Harford, you sell clothing, and you said you're very happy with what you do, although your parents wanted you to get into the probably shirt and tie kind of job, but do you enjoy selling in the market? And you didn't consider probably that the economics are not right, the economy is not back up, and probably you needed to wait for a while longer. Tell me about the process that you went through to get yourself back in full gear.
No, well, for me, I was actually the very first person to close in town because I knew COVID-19 was coming. And I just kept on following the COVID-19 protocol and listening to the news. I'm listening to the minister. And when they allowed the stores to open, because I fall under variety store, I said, well, it's time to open. But before I opened, I put up the sign, keep your 6 feet, no mask, no service. Everybody that approached the window, I would sanitize their hand. I try to do everything that the CDC and the World Health Organization was telling us to do. But we realized that a lot of people was afraid. So we was just basically going in town just to open up the business because it wasn't like if we was really making any money. But we knew that it was going to be slow. And the way how we was looking at it is that once the market opened, then people will come. And we also was looking at that all the other stores was open. We was watching KFC open, so we was watching all all the Syrian, Indian, and Chinese stores open. So we said, well, if they could open, long as we follow the protocol of the COVID-19, we should open too.
Right. Good point. And this is where we segue to Mr. Livingston Nelson, who for tonight will look at the whole issue of the cultural ties of our marketplace. So, Livingston, you would have heard Titus make a comment about, you know, we've been at home and nothing doing. I think we also had Landa making the point, and so let's go back into the market. And now we've had Shah saying, let's just open. So tell us how you tie this together, the market as a melting pot of Grenadian culture.
Well, I think the marketplace is like the Dow Jones, like the stock exchange. That is where trading gets done. But it's in actually goods. I think the market actually evolved mainly from bartering, where people trade just goods with goods. And even today, if you go to the market, that still happens to a certain extent. On a regular basis, you have over 200-300 persons, vendors in the market. And on a weekend, close to $1 million trade hands, meaning Friday and Saturday, in this small space. So when the young man Titus mentioned a child of the market and his parents actually fed him, he's actually going into that same niche where he basically admitted that the market is a place where money is being made, where people go there to make money. Let us look at some of maybe the economic reality that is taking place. Today, presently, more food is being traded than any time in the last 20 or so years. And why that is so? That is so because of the closure of hotels. So no plantains, sweet potatoes goes to the hotels. The restaurants are doing less business. So you have more food being available. But at the same time, you have less business, particularly where they close the market and most people go to the stadium. You have less persons actually coming out to buy, simply because people were not just walking in the street, see something on the side of the road and they want to buy. They couldn't do that. You also have other challenges that is facing people in the market. And that has to do mainly with the fact that now a lot of people are going to the backyard gardening. And of course, that means that there will be less sales. So you have more goods, less sale, less economic activity in the country. But I want to delve into something that is really the market, because the marketers are what you call the soul or the salt of the Grenadian people. If you go to the market and you are able to speak, or you're able to understand as a visitor, if you're able to understand the lingo, the language that is spoken there, you are going to be able to speak to any Grenadian in any other walk of life. Because at the St. George's Market in particular, we have representation from every parish, maybe apart from Carriacou and Pétimati, every parish. We have persons. And then what happened again, you have the geographic spread. You might have people from particular parts of the island that comes with a speciality, like Willis is probably known mainly for seasoning. St. David is probably known mainly for the breadfruit, St. Andrew for the watermelon, cantaloupe, coconut, etc., etc. But again, when I mentioned the salt and the soul of the Grenadian culture, you get that in the market because of the many things that happen. The way we speak, the way people speak to each other, the way they flirt in the market. You have a lot of flirting going on, but mind you, it is something that is contagious for one day. It is there in the day, and usually, to my opinion, it doesn't spread beyond that. But people call each other in the real Grenadian area, like auntie, uncle, sweetheart, Dudu darling, grandpa, grandma, those kind of things are them. And the kind of jokes that is taking place. So when you go to the market, you get a sense of this Grenadianness, this feeling of being Grenadian. So the market is like this, as I say, this melting pot, this area where you get a chance to seriously experience Grenadian culture. Right. Apart from that, you get some heated arguments sometimes on religion, although I find not that much, a lot on politics, a lot about relationships, and people get a lot of tips on farming and morality. And of course, in the market, you can pick up news from about every part of Grenada that is taking place. Right. Who is doing what in that part of the island, etc., etc.
Right. So,
Mind you.
very, very rich. Let me just ask you to stick up in there. We'll come back to that. We know you have a lot to share. So we'll come back to you just now, Livingston. But let's get to the issue at hand. So, for instance, let me ask Titus. Titus, when did you hear that you had to vacate the market? The market was being closed.
Basically, that happened around 3:45 after 4 Thursday evening, basically.
All right. And you heard that from whom?
Somebody came to me, actually, I can't even remember. It was so abrupt, and so like I'm there trying to organize business, minding my business, and somebody just came and told me that the market manager said that we need to close. It was very abrupt. It was very sudden, very instant. It wasn't any, like it was something like when we got the COVID news, something similar of nature. Like you just going about your business one day, and the next day, and the next minute, actually, they're telling you that you can't come to work the next day.
Okay. And so, Landa, was the situation the same for you, or did you get word on the ground through the grapevine prior to that?
Well, I went out from the shop for about 2 minutes, and coming back to the shop, that was the greeting I get in. That the market manager said we got to do the last, got to pack up and go. Tomorrow, by Saturday, we have to have everything out of the place. So then I said, no, that can never happen, man. Today for today. Nah. And well, he didn't get to where I got going on. And then we start to get on. Start to demonstrate now, That's when the media come down.
Okay. So
this can happen like that.
Right. Mr. Harford, tell us about your experience, you hearing that you need to get out of the place.
Well, I was sitting in the market, and it was about 2:30. I heard that the market manager would like to speak to me. So I went inside, and I said, Mr. Mason, I hear you want to speak to me. And he told me that tomorrow you have to close. I said, why? He said, you don't have to ask that. Tomorrow you have to close because the police called and said that the whole market is closed. I said, but this section is different than the rest of the market because this is the commercial section. And he said, no, they said that they don't care, that we must close, and that if we don't close, the police will be there and they're going to have to deal with us. I said, excuse me? I said, but you still have to tell us why we're closing. And he said, no, I got word that y'all have to close. Y'all just have to close. So I went outside, and he said that before I left, he wanted to speak to everybody one by one. I said, no. I went outside and I told everybody, Titus don't remember, but I was the one that brought him the information. And I said that this thing is wrong, because why is the St. George's Market closing? Because we are trying to follow all the COVID-19 protocols. Most of the people selling the fruits and vegetables do go into the stadium. We opened when we was given permission to open, because I didn't open until after they said the variety stores could open. And back to one of my points is that when you look across the street and you see the different stores open, and you want to know why the market have to be closed. And then they used an excuse of that, first it was COVID-19, then they said it was renovation, then they said sanitizing. All of that is good. But we was never informed. You can't just tell a person, especially me, I never missed a Friday or Saturday in 28 years in the St. George's Market. And for them to tell me under those conditions, that's why I appreciate the Permanent Secretary Jessamy, because when she came and she spoke to us the next day after we started demonstrating, I told somebody, if he would have spoke to us the same way that she spoke to us, we wouldn't be here. Because she did come and give us more information, telling us why it's going to be closed, and it would have a timetable. You just can't tell a person to go home and they would let us know when we could come back. That could be January. Until that wasn't right. So that's the reason why we started the protest and we started having to let our voices be heard.
All right, thank you so much. And Ms. Jessamy did allude to the possibility of there having been some level of miscommunication. As soon as we come back from commercial break, we'll be going to Ms. Jessamy so that she can define the issues and take us through the details. And also we'll move on to addressing some other market-related issues. This is Beyond the Headlines. Tonight we're looking at the market controversy. Do stay with us.
It's new, innovative and classy, and a cut above the rest. Your one-stop shop for bathtubs, kitchenette, customized doors and windows, and even a new paint job. We also sell quartz and solid surface countertops. At M&N Hardware, we offer best prices, excellent service, efficiency, and reliability. Visit us at Dusty Highway, Grandin, St. George, or call telephone number 440-6757. M&N Hardware, from foundation to roof. Let's build together.
Total is one of the world's largest oil companies with a top quality line of lubricants. Total Lubricants has a full product line from passenger cars, motorcycle, heavy industrial equipment, mining, trucking, agriculture, and manufacturing machines and vehicles. Total Lubricants, winning championships in motorsports, including Formula One and World Rally Championships. Total Lubricants are available at all Rubis service stations, leading automotive shops, and distributed by Huggins.
It's what's inside that counts. Inside your house, that is. With Beacon, you can ensure everything inside your home with our Easy Buy contents packages. Just click, match, and buy for maximum peace of mind with minimum fuss. Log on to beacon.co.tt and choose your package today.
Grenlec is pleased to advise that all services have been resumed. We invite you to make an appointment with us by email at customersupport@grenlec.com, WhatsApp on 473-405-6931, or call 237, select option 3, extension 311. When making an appointment, please provide your customer name, telephone number, service required, and the customer care center you would like to visit. You will be contacted within 2 business days to confirm your appointment. Together, we can keep each other safe. Together, we will smile again.
I'm reaching my dreams with GOT. They're the ones for me. I'm reaching my dreams with GOT. They're the ones for me. Since 1983, they've been serving the country, and we like all their financing, giving the people what they want, what they need, what they love. Come and join the family that's here for you all the way, from birth to graduation, your first job to your home and your car through your golden years.
The GT Credit Union has been actively supporting nation building through its many sponsorships and the programs including Financial Literacy Quiz, Pass the Torch Calypso Program, Junior Cooperatives in Secondary Schools, CPEA, and the TAMCC Grants. The Credit Union has helped many people make their dreams come true. Let them help you with yours. You don't have to be a teacher to be a member. So what are you waiting for?
GUT Credit Union, it's where you belong.
How going on, boy?
Hey, good old things.
Hey, Daisy.
Yeah.
Boy, in line, boy. Your house looking a real good day.
Boy, it's thanks to the hard-working and professional staff at the Housing Authority of Grenada. They handled me real nice. They did my plan, they did the construction, and I didn't even have to worry about a thing. They were there with me every step of the way, supervising the job, asking me about my concerns, giving me feedback as the house took shape. They were there from start to finish, and even put the keys in the palm of my hand. I give them an A++ for customer service.
Oh, it's people from housing bad, boy.
Boy, not bad. Excellent. If you're thinking about constructing your home, why not consult the Housing Authority of Grenada? You could visit them right down in the Sandino complex or give them a call 440-1015 or 440-1016 or check out their website hag473.com. They go handle you. They go jog your blocks, they go draw your plan, they go tote your materials. Hey man, where you going? The Housing Authority of Grenada is your choice for affordable housing and a stress-free construction experience.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements, or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 for 18-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Fallage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
And welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. This evening, we are looking at the market controversy, and we have represented on set tonight some of the produce that you will find at the St. George's Market. If we could get a wider shot from our producer, which will show some of the produce that we have. And over here, we have, for instance, we heard Landa talking about the fact that he sells local items. We have hats. You can find the jewelry makers and even the people who fix the watches. You don't have to throw away the watch. You can take it to the market square to get fixed, but no, the vendors have been displaced. We have with us a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Mrs. Merina Jessamy. Ms. Jessamy, you were explaining how this came to be. And the words police and the grammar police are going to be shooting at me, but that's okay. Ms. Jessamy, tell us exactly. We've heard that there has to be refurbishment work. Then we're hearing that it's being closed for sanitization purposes. Which is it?
Thank you for the question. The answer is both. The press release we sent out advised that the market will be sanitized, and I want to update that the sanitization process started on Sunday, because when we spoke to the market vendors on Friday, the issue is, as host, I would like to appreciate that the market is one place, but it is a place with different segments. For us to administrate the market, we cannot just see the market as a holistic place. Mr. Jiggaman, for example, the area where he is based on our administration listed as building number 2. So you would find that these persons have key for their own business and they could open it. When you go to the other section of the market, building number 1, you would see that that section is closed. Nobody is selling things there. And then you have the open area where you have over 120-something vendors, persons who are selling on the street. So the market is one place, yes, but with different segments. Our role as a ministry is to administrate the public market under the laws and the rules and regulations that we have. And so the idea is that before you bring back any person based on COVID-19 protocol to any public space, it must be sanitized. The first phase of government buildings that we sanitized to bring back public workers happened. And I explained to the vendors that besides the sanitization, you must have inspection after we finish to say that Ministry of Health, Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Infrastructure Development, we have a team to say that we comply with the public health protocols. For example, not all persons might have posters up like Mr. Harford, Mr. Jiggaman. Other persons have. We did a walkabout on the market on Friday. I went there personally with my team. Now, when COVID happened, for the months of April, May, and June, the market was closed. And we want to make sure that when we open the market, just like we did with Grenville, there will be an announcement, because we can safely say that the market was sanitized. We have drains in the market that must be cleaned. You may recall that in 2019, we had what we call Jamrock Phase 1, where we started cleaning of the market and some of the goods were removed. We still have solid waste of that to dispose of. But during the lockdown, certain activities could not take place. So we go back to the drawing board and say, well, we have, for example, pipes at the market, a lot of social issues happening in the market that we must take advantage of COVID-19 to address. We need to look at the drains to power wash the drains. We have grills that are deteriorated that we must replace. We have, for example, COVID-19 asks for sanitation. You must have sinks. We don't have these things at the market. And so we want to take advantage of the opportunity before we want to prepare the place for vendors to return. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, is that the miscommunication happened to say, well, when will you close? Because the challenge we face, if I may finish, that certain things you cannot do with everybody around. And the cause we get is that, Ms. P.S., some persons open and some of us are still home. Is the market open? And the answer was always, the market is not officially open. We didn't open the market. Some persons went into the market because they have their keys. But those who wait for us to open, they are still home. And they felt that it was unfair that some persons were selling and some were not selling. So I want to make it very clear that the activities we are doing is to ensure that vendors can return. But when they return, they come in a place that is sanitized, that is in compliance with COVID-19 protocol. And they themselves have responsibilities, for example, to ensure that the booths will have sanitizing solutions, they have their face covering things. We're using this opportunity also to do public awareness, because the public market is under a different law than if you say a supermarket. But I think the explanation I received on Friday from the vendors was like, if a clothing store could open and I'm selling clothes, I believe that I could open and I have a key to open. But I must say that officially we never had an announcement to say the St. George's Market is open. We are working in a phased approach, means section by section by section, because we have persons, for example, we spoke to 129 vendors today who are operating in the open space. They have parasols, they have booths. And why we had the meeting is that when you power wash, if persons, their goods are not properly protected, you don't want to have a situation where we sanitize and persons would report that goods are damaged. So we had a walkabout on Friday to explain. And also we met today with a group of vendors. Tomorrow we will meet with the spice vendors. They are in building number 1. And on Wednesday with the group at the commercial vendors building number 2. Because every segment have different issues and the market as a whole has environmental health issues and social issues as well.
So Ms. Jessamy, the question is, people seem to have heard this thing in a haphazard manner. Talk us through communication. There's a market manager. Was the information filtered down to the market manager, who was then told you need to meet with the vendor, so at least we could have avoided the uproar that came to the fore last week?
No, let me say that Mr. Mason is doing the best he can. He's the market manager. He has a team of staff. When we opened back, government asked for workers to come back to work from the 5th of May. We started sanitization process. But as I mentioned, the communication started the week to advise when persons call who can go back to the market, who cannot go back to the market. And as a market manager, he would know who is there, who is not there. When they called the ministry, our answer was consistent, that the market was not open for business, we must sanitize. No, it was an oral conversation. So I cannot sit here openly and say, Mr. Mason said this and the worker said that. I got a call on Thursday evening to say that the market vendors must leave the next day immediately. And that I said, well, we didn't issue a release. What we want to do is that we want to sanitize the market, and all vendors who are not there, we know that the majority of vendors are not there. They must be informed that we will not be able to work while they are present, so they need to protect their goods for those who are there. And the next day, that was the Wednesday, the next day I saw that I got a call and said, Mrs. Jessamy, are you aware that there's a big uproar in the market and there are placards and media? And I said, well, I'm not aware. I must say that later I contacted and found out, and that is why I went personally to the market to explain. But communication is a very sensitive matter. I believe that the issue is that as a ministry, we want to show due diligence to the protocol and due care, because you cannot bring persons. If we bring persons to the market as it is now, then the complaint would be we didn't sanitize as we did other buildings. We did a number of government buildings, and we have the process, the same process for the market. So as I mentioned it in the beginning, I believe it's a miscommunication issue. And based on the meeting we had on Friday and the meeting today with the workers, I believe that we can, as we say, we cross that bridge and we're moving forward. We explained the process to them. We did that with every building where we sanitize. We sanitize the ministerial complex, immigration department, education, legal affairs, audit, etc. I would speak to permanent secretaries. This is what sanitization involves. This is what we expect from the vendors. This is what they would have. Most of the vendors I spoke to on Friday would show me that, well, I have my sanitizing solution, I have face covering, or those who say, I don't have it yet, but I will make arrangement to have so. So I believe that the conversation is what sanitization means, the benefits it will bring for the vendors, because in all the meetings I have with them, even last year when we did Jamrock, the same thing we want to do is how they want it.
Okay.
It's the announcement they want to make. I'm not in a position to tell you, well, I informed to them and I want to repeat it. Once we complete the sanitization, which we're focusing today, we're working day and night to make sure that we make it happen, there will be announcement for the return of the vendors. The sanitization program is to ensure that we can bring back all the vendors.
All right. So let me go back to the vendors. So, Landa, you have heard the explanation from Ms. Jessamy. What are your thoughts now that you have heard her presentation?
Well, she brings some good points, because right now the market needs real cleaning, telling you, real cleaning. The market needs a lot of work. You know, for the market to remain in a nice way, you got to cover all empty area in the market where the vendor selling the provision. So they won't bring no umbrella, they won't bring no old catboard to borrow them around, because you have sun no more. The market needs a lot of work. Fence wrong, so the market have about 2 or 3 entrances to get into it when certain hours it closed. The market needs a real rejuvenated, man, I'm telling you.
Right. So let me just cross back quickly to Ms. Jessamy. Ms. Jessamy, so would you be doing a large-scale construction and probably tearing down some of those booths, or it's just to sanitize now? Does that involve tearing down some of the booths and rebuilding them?
No. When we did the Jamrock cleaning up last year, we had a conversation with the vendors, and they would recall, and I repeated, that as Mr. Lander said, we have a lot of phases of cleanup of the market. The immediate work that we will do involves the grills, involves the sink. We have situations where people bathe and sleep in the market. We have issues of substance abuse in the market. We have places that the public toilet is abused. And I think the approach we took as a ministry, and even discussed with them, will help to enhance the ambience and the operating environment of the market.
All right.
We need the cooperation with them so that they could stay. We will section off the area where we see, say, there is an open space between the administrative building and the street. We are now designing, and even last year we began with that, to design like another open shed, so that persons, when it is closed, these say the gentleman that has electronic.
Things are clearer. Unmute your mic. Right. Still not on mute. Let me.
Mute.
Right. I'm hearing. So some of the people that have been displaced and placed at the National Stadium, are you among that?
They can come easy access. It is irritated. Generally, people have tables. The condition there, and you're covered, so people have better condition to ply the trade. It is better displayed and more sanitary than the market space itself in town. It's more relaxing, as I say, for persons who transport for a handful of things. So there's a disadvantage. I just want to make one comment now, though, on after listening to the peers.
Can I beg?
And one question, actually. I just wondering why persons that are involved in the local production, in the farming community, why we are always an afterthought. Why everything was in place. You had 3 months lockdown. If the people vending at the market are given just days or hours notice,
Why are people that are the salt of the earth, why are we always an afterthought? You telling me that there are plans to build, there are plans to sanitize. These things were known months ago. As the PS mentioned about Jamra, the problem was there, it was there. Why you wait on the 99th moment? Why these group of persons were not catered for earlier on? I find it quite disturbing the way these people, market vendors and farmers, are treated as second class in this country.
Right. Very interesting point and question, but we must take a commercial break. We will have to pay some bills and we'll come right back and hopefully we can get some answers to that. This is Beyond the Headlines. We're looking at the market controversy. We'll be right back.
Everyone wants money, don't you? The National Lotteries Authority's Lotto Jackpot is $184,000. Play today for chances at improving your life. Lotto. Play and win a lot of money.
Good evening once again. Welcome back. It's time for the National Lottery Authority's Lotto draw number 3088 for this evening, Monday. $184,000. Good luck. All right, check your tickets. First number up is 26. Second number 1. Third number is 9. The fourth number 2, and the fifth and final. Yes, fifth and final is 16. All right, so we got to do the recap thing for you. Double check your tickets, free ticket letter. That letter was I. That's I as in ink. I as in ink. And the 5 winning numbers for $184,000. Let's recap. First number up, 26. That's 2626. The second number was 1011. Third number, 9099. The fourth was 2022. And the fifth and final was 1616. Well, this has been Lotto Play and Win a Lot. You got these numbers. Big congratulations to you. Well, if you haven't won, don't give up. Remember, we're back here tomorrow, so reminding you to get your tickets and continue to support sports, culture, and nation building. Have a good night.
I'm a winner. You are winner. We are winners. Winners.
It's the big one. Grenada. Imagine winning $25,000 and up to 6 times by scratching just one little ticket. Get your triple cash scratch tickets for a chance to live your best life. Win easy with Scratch. For just $3, match any of your numbers to any of the winning numbers and win the prize shown for that number. Reveal a money back symbol and win the prize instantly. Triple cash scratch in stores now. Must be 18 or older to play.
'Cause I'm a winner. From the moment that I get up, I'm feeling right.
Total is one of the world's largest oil companies with a top quality line of lubricants. Total Lubricants has a full product line from passenger cars, motorcycle, heavy industrial equipment, mining, trucking, agriculture, and manufacturing machines and vehicles. Total Lubricants, winning championships in motorsports, including Formula One and World Rally Championships. Total Lubricants are available at all Rubis service stations, leading automotive shops, and distributed by Huggins.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements? Or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 for 18-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Foliage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
It's what's inside that counts. Inside your house, that is. With Beacon, you can ensure everything inside your home with our Easy Buy contents packages. Just click, match, and buy for maximum peace of mind with minimum fuss. Log on to beacon.co.tt and choose your package today.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. We're looking at the market controversy, and we have market vendors with us, as well as the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure Development, Mrs. Merina Jessamy. I want to go to Mr. Titus Joseph, who is a market vendor. He calls himself a market child. He said his family grew him up in the market. That's how his family made it, and he thought he could make it as well. So Titus, tell us, what are some of the concerns, apart from this present issue, which has put everybody up in arms? What are some of the concerns you have as a market vendor? Facilities? Yes, Titus, you're on. Unmute your mic, you're on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. The issues, as I know it from a personal experience, haven't really changed much. I've seen my parents live through a lot of bad experiences in the market growing up. And at this stage in my life, I can't believe I'm seeing some of the same issues happening. The market is a unique place. It's like I could think of it as a child who has, as an individual who have multiple health problems. One, we're dealing with produce, like agriculture people. Then we have people like me who sell food. Then we have people like Jiggaman who sell clothes. And over the years, the market kind of has evolved. We have people doing a lot of different things. It's not as it used to be before. You can still find some things, some heritage things, but you know there are a lot of people, young people now coming in the market and want to survive, trying to do things. People doing nails, people doing hair, and with this new development, we have some old issues. For instance, sanitation. The authority built this new wing in the market a couple of years ago, and it stayed there, and it's basically rotten. This building stayed there. I think they basically gave it out to vendors like around Christmas thereabout recently, and that building was built almost 3 years ago, and it stayed there, and it's basically rotten, and the ministry just seen it fit to give it to vendors in this state where the tiles raise up, where problems with electrical, people have a lot of other problems. Apart from that, we have problems with, as I said, with bathroom facilities. Obviously, we have problems with cleaning. I feel a sense of pity for the cleaners in the market who work very hard. And I believe that they understaff, and I believe that they need assistance, they need help. They take on a great role. Apart from that, we have issues in the market with vagrants. We have people, like where I operate, I sell food, and it's basically on a food court. And they would tell you, customers will sit down there eating, and a vagrant will pass and pick up their drink. And then, yes, there is security, but what kind of authority does the security have? How much can the security do? The market is a very unique place. You can't approach the market issues one-sided. You know, it's a tourism attraction. It's a tourism place. It's a tourism site, basically. It's a marketplace. It's Ministry of Works have to take responsibility in it. Ministry of Agriculture take responsibility. So when you have all these things put together, then you have a situation where one-sided approach cannot fix a lot of the issues. Then market vendors have tables and they're in the rain. Obviously, if it's in the rain for 3 years, it's going to deteriorate.
Right.
It's going to rotten. It's going to, and when these things happen, sometimes the market vendors look bad. They look like they're not taking care of the stuff, but it's just obvious. If you put me in the rain with a table for 5 years, obviously it's going to, and what people come in the market to do is basically survive.
One of the things we'd want to take up probably with Jiggaman after we take a call is the fact that market vendors are being blamed for having the place in a very disorderly manner. And some people would use the F word, meaning filthy. Don't get bad ideas. I'm not going to use any bad words on the program. Filthy and another N word. I'm just trying to avoid using some of those words. But we'll come back to that. But we have a caller who's been on the line for a little bit. Caller, good evening. And we just want to remind everybody to try and keep it short and snappy.
Okay, good night to all the persons there, to you, the host, and to all the persons there. I want to believe and say that the whole breakdown in that comes from the management. It's a management problem, and management have to take the blame. We just heard Ms. Jessamy admitted that the communication was poor, and that's what happens when you have poor communication. To me, the gentlemen there, they are genuine and they're willing to cooperate. I can see that from what I'm hearing, they're willing to cooperate. But the instruction that the message that came to them was very distorted. So government and the authorities have to take the blame that it was not properly. And we cannot continue that way. They have to make sure that you have your head on top of management of the market.
Thank you so much, caller, for that. So yes, Jiggaman, people are blaming the market vendors and saying, y'all shouldn't be complaining, no, y'all have the place filthy, y'all have it nasty.
No, I'm going to go back on to the last question that you had asked about the neglect of the market. Because I've been in the market so many years that I watched the market be neglected. So I have to thank the Honorable Peter David and the ambassador from Venezuela, because they did try it. Because they was the ones, the Venezuelan government was the ones who donated the side of the market that we're on the commercial side, and the buildings in the front. And over the years, over 10 years ago, we asked for cameras in the market, extra police presence in the market to deter illegal activity. We never got it. Over the years, we have asked for a shed. We asked for concrete tables to alleviate all that old board and stuff like that. Never got it. Well, I hope Ms. Jessamy keeps her word, because over the years, when the time reached for them to do it, they would change the permanent secretary, they would reshuffle the cabinet, and then when we go to whoever is in place now, they would say they know nothing about that. And I used to be at the table because I was the vice president of the Vendors Association, so I'm at the table. And it's funny that all what they're complaining about now, it's not the vendors. The vendors have a hand in it, but you have to give the vendors what they need to survive. Because when you really look at it, we don't, the impressions that the market square is given, I myself had said, if I was to go on another island and the market looked like that, I'm not going there. You know, and I find that they could do better, we could do better, but a person was telling me today, and he was totally complaining. I said, no, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start from today. We're not gonna look at who was at fault in the past. We're gonna start from today.
So a new beginning. On the note of a new beginning, we have a caller. Caller, good evening.
Yeah, good night. I'm going to be very quick. Odette, it looks very lovely tonight and professional. Miscommunication. I listened to the permanent secretary. Well, you see, that is their defense, because you see, they mess up the whole thing. The bottom line is that they're not dealing with the issue. The issue is that they were given notice now for now. That is what they should have been dealing with. The fact is that you can't do that to people. And you can't use miscommunication as a kind of a defense, and I agree with Livingston Nelson when he said you had all this amount of time to do those sort of things, and some of the people, as far as I understand, was practicing the proper sanitation and all these sort of things. So everything that the permanent secretary say, well, of course, that she's defending the government because of the mess they put themselves in. But the fact is that why wasn't these things done before to facilitate these people? The bottom line is that you cannot come and tell somebody no for no. So that is the crux of the matter.
Got you. Got you. So, and thank you so much for that. Landa, what is your take on the complaints that vendors are not doing enough to keep the market space clean? And also about the illegal activities taking place. You had the whole Jamrock situation, and that caused a stir all by itself. Yeah, Landa? All right.
Vendors just can do better because the vendors, some of the vendors in the market is in the sun. All day in the sun. All the goods is in the sun. So then they go put up an umbrella to the little thing the government put up for them. And the side of it, they go put up a piece of cloth to bar it wrong, so you don't get the sun. And that will stay for a couple of months, maybe years, and come like flag, so look real but terrible. That event has to be blamed.
All right, got you. Livingston, you were on a very interesting point, and you were asking a very deep question as to why is the people who you call the salt of the earth treated as second-class citizens? And I'm certain that's a point you'd want to ventilate with the authorities. People who grew up in the days of the revolution would always remember the slogan, eat what you grow and grow what you eat. How does our market spaces, and we could talk about the vendors market in St. George, we could look at what happens in St. John, we could look at Grenville, and we could look at Soteas. How do our market spaces, what role do they play in fulfilling that mission of the revolution?
Well, I think we have to change the slogan because it has been overused, and I don't believe people just say it, but I don't believe that people believe it, actually believe it. Let us just start from a personal point of view. Do you actually try to give your children locally grown food, or do you give them the canned goods and all those things that are foreign? I mean, so people have to start taking the responsibility serious. Do you promote that in your household? Do you ensure that when you go out, you buy the food or the products that are grown in Grenada on an individual level? So if you do that, well, then you're actually contributing, or you're actually living that slogan. On the other hand, let us just go back at the beginning of COVID. 3 weeks, a farmer that had tomatoes, the tomatoes were rotting in the field and he could not sell it. But supermarkets had the right to sell spaghetti and corned beef and other things that are grown in foreign. So obviously, we are at war in terms of we not really believe in that. So on a personal level, we are not showing it, and on the national level, where the government should come in, we are not showing that. Again, if I were to come back now to this present situation, yes, farmers were given, let us say, just 3 hours to go to the land on most days, just 3 hours. I mean, what can you do in the land in 3 hours? But if you come now presently with with the present situation, we have COVID, and the ministry must know that there was attention to be paid to the market, and we could have worked with a schedule. So we informed the vendors that we are going to sanitize, we are going to do that, we're going to prepare from that time to this time, and then so there was a schedule. So people are going to be treated with that kind of respect. If we really believe eat what you grow and grow what you eat, then these are the people you have to give incentive to, so that they can actually produce, that they know that they're worth. Farmers are feeling that they are not cared for, they are not constant, their work is not valued. So it is a difficult thing. We're not living that. So I think we have to have a new way, say the same thing, but maybe say it differently, that would impact on persons, both on an individual and a household level, and maybe on the national level. But I think when I look at the record of the present administration, they really don't believe in that. So, maybe that's for next discussion.
All right. Very touching. Ms. Jessamy, we have a comment here on social media, and the person is saying, my question is, what is sanitation for if we have no COVID-19 cases? The authorities need to be real with the vendors and the farmers. Mrs. Jessamy, what's your response to this?
Well, thank you for that question. I would say that we don't have active cases. The announcement that we have 0 active cases. You could have a person who is asymptomatic and they have COVID. You could have a person that is COVID positive and they don't have symptoms. So I would say that sanitization is not a reason for COVID-19 only. Sanitization is important. When you look at the public health regulations, and I want to repeat that the market is under Chapter 265A, Public Market, Public Places Control Act. So we are not doing things because of COVID. The act, and I explained that to the vendors today when we go to the agreement. The market is a place, yes, with different segments, but it's a public space. And as a public space, we have the responsibility as citizens, as vendors, as ministry, as administrators to ensure that we safeguard public health. And that is why it is very important when we implement any program that we involve the Ministry of Health. The very vendors participating in this program would know that last year we walked up and down that market because of Jamrock to sanitize. And the things we found with the sanitization then to clean out Jamrock, they know for themselves. I don't think it is prudent to mention them on this program. So I want to respond on the issue of care. What did we do the 3 months when we closed? The economic stimulus, as of today, we paid over 230 vendors. We call them small business persons. What we learned from that process is that we must update the listing of vendors. You had a vendor that is listed as Merina Edwards, the same vendors as Merina Jessamy Nelson, and we have a 175 vendors that we must sanitize and update the information before they can even pay. So the 3 months we took, not the whole 3 months, yes, we make sure that we check the list of Grenville vendors, the list of all vendors, because we had to submit that list to the Ministry of Finance so that it could benefit. So I find it very unfair to say that we are not showing enough care or due care. As somebody said, we have some old problems to deal with. And since I joined this ministry years ago, I think the message is consistent, that we want to work together with the vendors, but we will have to do it in a phased approach. We had Jamrock Phase 1. We will have Jamrock Phase 2. We listed over 75 tables that must be replaced because of the condition. And we are working with the vendors. COVID came and disrupted the plan. All I'm calling is that let us go back to the drawing board, because these plans that we are now implementing were planned before. But as you know, with COVID, we must come with the schedule. The first phase of implementation was for where we bring public officers back to work. The second phase.
All right, so Ms. Jessamy, I'm sorry to cut you here, but we on the nose of 10 o'clock, which is when we normally end the program. Let me just ask you quickly if you could just give us a two-word answer. What is the date for the completion of the project and the return of the vendors? Because we need to close. What's the projected date for the completion of the project at the market and the return of the vendors?
Phase 1 of the sanitation will complete on Sunday the 19th. It commences on Sunday 12th, and it will complete on Sunday the 19th. The commitment we gave as a ministry in the meeting today, and what I will give you today, is that once we complete, it could be that we complete the sanitation earlier, we arrange the inspection visit with the Ministry of Health and other relevant stakeholders, and then the minister will announce the opening of the market. If we finish tomorrow, there will be an announcement. As permanent secretary, I have the power to make recommendation. The minister will make the announcement. That is the commitment we give.
Thank you so much. As we close, let me just give every vendor 15 seconds to make some closing comments so we can come out of this at least no more than a minute and a half after 10 o'clock. Titus, the last word from you tonight is in about 15, 30 seconds.
I think... in all, I think Ms. Jessamy is basically doing what we ask for, communication. Let us know in time, give us some deadlines as to what can be done. And another thing is take our recommendations serious. We are the ones on the ground. We are the ones in the rain. We are the ones getting up every day and doing this. And we're the ones feeling. The ministry need to listen to us. The ministry need to at least follow some recommendations when we give it. And it's not all about what the ministry wants. It's also about what market vendors want. Market vendors' lives matter. They need to listen to us too.
And market vendors' lives matter. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, our lives matter.
Thank you so much. Good point. Barack Obama would love you for that. Market vendors' lives matter. Landa, your closing thoughts?
Well, for me, I want to see the markets in a real nice way. For the flowers planting around the market, keeping the market real sanitized. It's not only because of COVID, you come and sanitize the market. The market needs to sanitize right through. Every day, you have to clean it, keep the market clean. And the vendors have to work with the cleaners, make sure that the market stay how it's supposed to be.
All right. And Jiggaman?
Yes, I just want to be able to say that COVID-19 is real. And a lot of people not really taking it too seriously. And I believe that what we have to remember is that everybody is under pressure right now. And we need to be able to mandate the masks. We need to be able to make sure that everybody use a mask when they come into the market. They need their hands sanitized when they come into the market. They need to keep their distance when they come into the market. So I understand what Ms. Jessamy and what the rest of the government is trying to implement, but it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
It's not what you do, but it's how you do it. Nice closing thought. And the last word tonight belongs to Livingston Nelson. Livingston, your final 15 seconds.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think the approach that the PS took after she found out what was happening was really commendable. So much commend after that. It's just unfortunate that that approach should have been taken maybe before consulting, or maybe the instruction given to the manager. The manager should have been the one really consulted. I hope going forward, though, that the approach that the manager took in the meeting with Jiggaman and the approach to the other vendors does not continue. That, you know, you have more open dialogue, because whatsoever benefit the vendors will benefit the country, will benefit the ministry. So everybody can gain if we have that approach of showing respect to each other and working with each other.
With each other. And let me thank you sincerely to all of our panelists for this. And it is one of the programs that I'm really happy that we did, because there seemed to have been this great divide, but somehow there seems to be a coming together. And can I just ask the producer to give us like a foreshot of everybody so we can wrap it up and say thanks to everybody. Ms. Jessamy, want to thank you so much. To all of our vendors, thank you so much for agreeing to come on and to clarifying and ventilating the points. And to Mr. Livingston Nelson especially, we are just going to steal another 2 minutes so that the powerful note that we came in on, we can leave on with that powerful piece that you produced. So let me ask the producer to roll it again.
Everything I have is locally made.
It is the rallying cry of a simple market vendor. Klein his roots, echoing his toes, emitting patriotic passion and nationalistic fervor. He's a proud and independent trader as he chants.
Everything I have is locally made.
His mantra is not just a slogan, it is an accepted philosophy. He never went tertiary, but he has a PhD. No church, no school can trample his freedom and spirit. Although he sells damsel and golden apple while walking the nation's street. And so he keeps on chanting.
Everything I have is locally made.
He's not like the typical Caribbean leader. No, no, no. He's like Booker T. Washington, Julian Feddo, and Marcus Garvey. His economics is not based on begging every Tom, Dick, and Harry. By his sweat, he would eat bread. It is a clear vision for all to see. He works hard so that he can remain free.
Everything I have is locally made.
The African rhythms, yeah, everything I have is locally made. We have our pineapple here, we have some coconuts, we have some plantains. This coconut is very heavy, very refreshing. So let's see what happens, and we hope that everything went well and will go well. You can go to the market once it's reopened. You can get your local craft. Let me see how this would fit. Would I look like a market vendor or, let's see, the wrong way, long way. Jigga, I hope you approve. Landa, I hope you approve. That's where we ended this evening, folks, on Beyond the Headlines. I want to thank every person who in one way or another contributed to tonight's program. Janelle McDonald, Joseph Cador, Joseph McKee-Smith, Godfrey Augustine, Darius Slocum, Kellen Batiste, Dawn Bailey, and the list is very long. To every person who in one way or another contributed, and to all of our panelists who took the time, I am eternally grateful to you. That's where we close it out this evening. We'll be on again next Monday for Beyond the Headlines. To all of our listeners and viewers, and especially those in the diaspora who joined us, thank you so much, and we'll see you again next week.